Hello, I'm back again. Another video. I'm really trying to work out the kinks of this on music series I want to do, which is just reviewing, just discussing, some stuff I've recently discovered, recently been into, rediscovering, etc. I cannot get it to where I can play the music uh, through any device, my laptop itself, or my phone, nearby, or the TV. I have YouTube playing on the TV now, playing an album by the band Thirsty Moon. And I mean, you can hear like echoes of this maybe, but then like the closer I get, there's nothing, and sometimes it knocks out my voice completely, and there's this weird equalization thing going on, and I don't think I have the best sound pickup on this webcam. Because like if I lower my nuance a little bit like this, it sounds like I'm mumbling, and I'm very audible, but it's not picking it up. So I'm feeling like I'm having to shout, or at least speak at a higher level like this, and pronounce all my words carefully so everything can come through. So I don't have a problem with that. It's just I wish I could play some music, talk about it while I'm playing it, like play you guys some music, be like a DJ, and expose people to new stuff, but actually be able to hear it and react to it. And I know people can do this because it's all over YouTube, but I haven't figured out how to do it. I'm so low tech and technologically inept that it's beyond my meager abilities. What else is new? Hope you guys are all doing okay. Been a lot of things on my mind this week, and some days I was a little down and couldn't kind of collect my thoughts, and then a couple of days I was kind of physically under the weather. I was having some severe allergy attacks and some nausea and gastrointestinal distress. I made it to work at the day job today, the first time in almost a week. And I'm working again on Saturday and Sunday. So I've got 2 days ahead of me. I have a ton of chores and errands to do, things that I've been putting off and just I need to do that's going to help me move forward in a lot of ways. I'm starting with a new therapist finally. I finally landed one. I may have mentioned this on another video. So I'm going to meet her tomorrow for the first time. And then my peer support counselor, who's got me hooked up with a new therapist and been a big help to me over the last year, is retiring, at least from this facility she works at. So I'm getting someone new. I don't know when I'll actually be talking to her for the first time. I think I'm going to be getting her number tomorrow from this lady. She calls me at like the crack of dawn every day, and I can't get to the phone. By the time it's finished ringing, it goes to voicemail. I'm so sleepy, and I've been sleeping in later and later. Yesterday I slept till about 2:30. I run some errands, and then I couldn't get back to sleep. I did some of those videos, and I did some other things, and I was supposed to get up at 7:30 to 8-ish to get ready for work, and I barely got up at 8:15, but I didn't get to sleep until 7:15. So I slept a whole hour last night. So work is over. I got off work an hour and a half ago. I just had a snack. Wanted to settle down while I was dressed and had good lighting and angles and stuff that I would go ahead and put on some music and kind of psych myself up with my remaining energy and pop out another video or two. Unfortunately, my thoughts aren't organized enough about Star Trek as they were yesterday. I think I need to rewatch a couple of episodes in there somewhere of Discovery, and maybe even up to Picard, and do some reading up. Make sure I get all the characters and actors and plot points accurate, because it's been a while since I've watched season 2, and almost as long since Picard, but not too long since season 3. But I kind of buzzed through it, and I think I skipped parts of a couple of episodes for whatever reason, and just kind of let it go. And because I got the gist of season 3, the episodes I did watch all the way through, which were more than half of them, were incredible. But feel like I need to fill in some gaps. So the Star Trek Part 3, and no doubt there'll be a Part 4, and that should do it. So we're going to have like a 4-hour opus. But anyway, Parts 3 and 4 are probably going to have to wait several days, maybe a week. Hopefully sooner, but I can't promise it. So you got the first 2 to kind of get you started. Please check this out. Comment, give me thumbs up, subscribe, tell your friends and family, neighbors, your community that I'm over here, and I need these things. I need these things. I'm like James Russo in the movie I reviewed a couple months ago, Dangerous Game by Abel Ferrara. I need these things. And he's talking about like all this decadence and depravity, like hookers and every kind of sexual configuration you can think of, and hard drugs and constant boozing and just wild abandon. And his wife played my Madonna. Ironic, great, best stunt casting in the history of film. She's good in it, and she once has done all this stuff too, this sordid stuff, but now she's kind of like found God, and she's trying to redeem herself and settle down and be like just a regular wife. And he doesn't want it. He wants to fuck other women, and he wants her to fuck other men, and probably women too, and maybe some inanimate objects, and snort coke together and shoot up and whatever. And he's like, I can't give this stuff up. I need these things. James Russo is a trip, man. It's a little bit, the delivery is a little bit like Harvey Keitel and Bad Lieutenant, also by Ferrara. So it's probably a Ferrara kind of delivery. Ferrara's like telling both of them, I need you to deliver your lines like this. I'm trying to think of any other movies where the lead character actor or whatever does the same kind of thing. This is not Thirsty Moon any longer. I haven't been able to take the to block the ads on my television streaming of YouTube. So the ads come up, and then the piece, the album you're listening to either comes back or it doesn't. It goes to some other recommendation. A lot of times they aren't. It's dead on. It's the recommendations on autoplay that I get on the regular YouTube on my computer or my phone. I don't have ad block on my phone either. I do on the computer, so I never have to worry about this kind of thing. I know pretty much what's going to play and what kind of things are going to play. I can just let it go. So many great things I wish I could play you guys. One thing I did, I couldn't sleep yesterday, as I said, and I stayed up very late, listened to a lot of different bands, and added quite a bit to my digital library. So anyway, I'm 9 minutes on and haven't really said anything much of substance or consequence. It'll come to me. Like I said, I've been a little disturbed by some things the last few days. I kind of the dynamic with myself and a certain person who I have mentioned on these videos and who watches them. That person, the dynamic with that person kind of altered quite a bit on Sunday and Monday. And now I'm up to Wednesday, and I'm already feeling, I just want peace. I cherish this person's opinion about things, and I became so despondent over not having that connection for a few days that because it was very, very genuine and somewhat intense. That I reached out to, you guessed it, the ex-fiance last evening, late. I don't expect a response, but I feel like I had it more together than I ever have since I last saw her, as far as the way I said what I had to say and the things I said. I'm coming from a position of strength again, not weakness. I feel more confident in trying to, have some kind of peace. I don't think it's going to happen logically, but I found myself yearning for it again, and I don't know. I mean, is it a step backward? Maybe, or maybe I've learned and grown because of my recent situation. So the way I'm approaching it with my ex fiance, maybe it's a step forward for me as far as learning and growing and healing all the things she would exhort me to do after we split up. Uh, so I don't know. That's kind of a bummer, and really the things online have been difficult for me, like in social media. Um, I'm not. I've got some inspiration to work on some extended Flickr Street ideas on Tuesday. I was at Subway as usual. Hadn't been there in a while, for me anyway, and hadn't written much in depth on Flickr Street in several days. So I did a bunch of different things. I kind of jumped around on that in that playground, and that felt good. And I still have ideas. I added some things to my family tree yesterday, and jotted down some other notes, and had some thoughts. So I'm probably going to go back and write at the sandwich venue on Thursday or Friday. Well, I guess Friday. I'm not going to go tomorrow, but do my old post office, Subway, Flickr Street ritual, which always yields good work. And I didn't think I was going to get much down on Tuesday. It was only yesterday, right? Was it yesterday? It was yesterday, yeah. But it was, but I ended up being pretty inspired and getting down some crucial stuff. I'm one more step closer to getting my first big extended piece. It's about 75,000 words onto my official website, Flickr Street website. But I've got to actually do it. I've got everything set up to kind of cut and paste everything in mass. So just I keep tweaking and getting things ready and getting closer and closer, and I've made several outlines of my next long piece. And I worked on that yesterday too. And filled in like things I want to cover under each part. But I just have to fucking do this thing and get this piece that I've been working on for so long, which is now kind of already kind of outdated in many ways. But I have to kind of get it there as a permanent reference tool for myself and a kind of an introduction to people who want to be introduced to Flickr Street. They may not catch the nuances from it that they will from the next long piece or other things I intend to do, and things I have written but just never put out there. Which there's a lot. There's like, I don't know. I've got dozens of notebooks filled with this stuff dating back 30 years. Still working on this stuff, at least every few days now. Some weeks every day in the notebooks. But anyway, what I was saying is with Facebook in particular, the groups I'm in, the groups I own, and see, I don't get some horrible shrill ad in the background. The pages I manage and the groups I own and moderate are going well. I've been holding back a lot on my main page because I try to be a truth teller, and truth often hurts. And more than anything now, I'm finding it enrages. And so, my video I did about controversial topics, really the only one mostly devoted to that. I called it What is Freedom? And I did one called What is Truth, but only one person has seen it. And I didn't post it publicly for a few reasons, some of which I went over, I think, on one of my Star Trek videos yesterday. So I'd like to do What is Truth. I'd like to talk about that, and I don't know if this is the video or not for it. I thought today I'd rather dwell in an honest hell than in a false paradise. And it's true. I'm sure I'm missing no new thought. It's probably been written by many writers before, or at least the sentiment espoused by many. But that's just where I'm at. I'd rather have an honest hell, know what's going to happen, or not even know what's going to happen, like details, like clairvoyancy. But know what playing field we're playing on, and know what is on the table in front of us, what we have to work with exactly, what tools we have to live our lives, to hopefully grow, hopefully change for the better, to enrich ourselves, enrich society, enrich each other, enrich the world, save the world, because it's in need of saving. I feel that way more acutely than ever of late. I don't know. I've met a few people, a few women the last few years that small amount. I can count on one hand, less than a full hand. But they've all kind of had that spirit of wanting to change the world for the better, or save the world, or go against the grain, or assert individuality in a world of I don't know, robots. But I'm not with any of those women now, and all of them have enriched my life and given me hope and encouraged me that I'm on the right track in that sense, at least. No matter what interpersonal goes down between me and them. And I think being that kind of person, as they are, as I am, you're going to overthink things sometimes. You're going to feel things more acutely because you are sensitive to the world and the problems in the world and the pain of existence. And it's a lot of pain. I don't know. I've tried to be a balm or a salve for all of those young ladies. There have been 3 in 5 years, and 4.5 years. And I've tried to be those things for them, and I think they functioned in that capacity in my life too. But I don't know. There comes a point where the twain no longer meet. I don't know if that's a never, or I don't know. Well, for the most part, it's the never. The most recent, I'm not. I don't know. I'm not 100% clear on yet. I don't know. We'll see. But those are the kind of things that make me think, and those are the kind of people I do bond with. Online, I've made a lot of good friends through like progressive political groups and anti-establishment causes. People who are artists and weirdos and freaks and steadfast and stubborn individualists. And I love that. I have so much respect for that. And women who are like that, it's a turn on for sure. To have meet a woman with the intellect to articulate those things and embrace them and espouse them, even when everyone's against you, trying to make you conform and give in and give up. Uh, so, what is truth? Okay, let's do this. What is truth? It's not around us. It's concealed. It's tamped down. It's discouraged. It's censored. I'm just going to go on record with a very, very unpopular opinion at the moment, at least from what I've seen in the mainstream media and even some of the non-mainstream media and social media and voices prattling around us, the ones that tell us how things are, even when our senses show us something totally different. The ones who tell us what to think, even if we have the ability to do that on our own. Thank you, the fucking media. Very unpopular opinion in the media right now is that I'm a free speech absolutist. I'm totally against all censorship. There would have been a time when people claiming to be leftists or liberals would see that as a virtue. Not anymore. They love war and they love censorship. 30 years ago, it was Republicans, right wingers, who were trying to encourage war, you know, proliferate the conflict in the world, and bring us closer to extinction as a species, and trying to censor everything, be sex negative people and hated violent art, even though it's a catharsis for people, and there's absolutely no correlation or cause and effect proven ever between someone who experiences a violent work of art and what they actually do, their actions they take in their life. I mean, there are violent people who like violent art, but extreme art, but generally the people who like extreme art are not violent. They're not serial killers. They're not, Satan worshipers. So that's a whole other thing that's completely mischaracterized and has been for decades. What is Satan? What is worship? But as far as it goes, the current stance of liberals and neoliberals, along with conservatives and neoconservatives, they're the same in this respect now. They're very pro-war, and they're very pro-censorship, and they really, really, really don't like you to have your own opinion about anything. And then if you happen to find a kindred spirit that can empathize with your outsider, the outsider status that you hold, then they tell you that you're living in an echo chamber. It's like, it has nothing to do with echo chambers or espousing something simply to have someone to agree with you. It has to do with doing the right thing. During the 2016 election, I already thought a lot of these things I'm saying for much of my life, but during the 2016 election here in America, I became re-radicalized yet again, and I have yet again 2020. But in 2016, I'll give you an example. There was someone that my ex-best friend knew, a woman named Kim, and Kim was a Canadian. So we'll just get that up front. She wasn't an American and didn't completely understand American ideals. I'm not talking about the reality of things that we're living in, but the Constitution, Bill of Rights, etc. I mean, she understood they were ideals, but she didn't really understand how a lot of the laws work and how a lot of the what a lot of the ideals meant. But she had a lot to say about American politics and a lot of things she was way off base about. Not because she wasn't herself slightly to the left of liberalism, but because she tended to play devil's advocate with this stuff, and apparently she was in a group. They called themselves the Binders, and she never explained to me or anyone else that I know what that meant. I don't know if they were binding books. I don't know. I'm not sure what they were doing, but these Binders, there used to be an art supply store in Charlotte here called Binders. And they may not be there, they might, I don't know. But that's what I thought of first. And so in this Binders group, a lot of people were pro Hillary Clinton, and they ridiculed people like Kim, and abused them and gaslighted them. All the things that Hillary supporters have always done and continue to do. To anyone who has any true leftist leanings or hope for progress and equality and an end to inequality and end to injustice in the world. The Clintonistas are very against those things, very, very against those things. Very narrow-minded people, very cruel people generally. I would say cold, heartless for the most part. There are some exceptions, but they are a very small minority. They're people who like to be slaves. They like to be told what to do. They love it. And those same kind of people who are pro-censorship now. The neoliberals are people who enjoy other people thinking for them. They get off on it. They dig it. But they're like, I'm so liberal. I'm so... And they even say things like, I'm on the left. Like, not of me you aren't. To me, you're far, far to the right of me. And anyway, so this chick Kim created a group where people who had been kind of harassed and abused and by these neoliberals called Binders Unbound. And we could all, well, I wasn't one of them, but I did, at the behest of my ex-best friend, join this group. And Kim and I spoke a bit, and we generally got along. I friended her on Facebook on an individual basis, but didn't interact with her tremendous about. I did interact with her in the group, and it was crazy because I thought this meant that you could be free then to be against Hillary Clinton. You could be free to be against the Democratic Party and neoliberalism and neoconservatism and just mass brainwashing and gaslighting of people who all they want to do. Our only crime has been to want things like health care for all humanity, health care for all Americans. A lot of humanity already has it. Health care and an end to warfare, legalization of vice that's victimless crimes like prostitution and really drugs in most ways, a lot of victimless crimes that the authorities and the government demonize people for doing because they're part of human nature. They're things that people enjoy doing, and they're going to do it regardless. Making them illegal and ostracizing people only makes them more desperately seek them out at unsafe venues. And this, again, has always been true. It's been proven time and time again. Prohibition. That alone should have proven the point. But almost 100 years later, people still don't get it or don't want to get it, these kind of people. There was a man in Kim's group, Binders Unbound. I think his name was Peter Gehring, Gehring, similar to Lou Gehrig, Gehrig. And Lou Gehrig's disease, or amniolateral sclerosis, I think, ALS. I've known some people who have passed away from that. And but it was kind of funny because this guy would go off on me and my ex-best friend. He would just verbally assault us, call us all kinds of names and profanity and mock us. And when he found out that I was into comic books, he was like, well, I can't take anything seriously or a guy who reads funny books for kids. Ha ha ha. And I'm like, where does this fucking hatred and animosity? If these people directed one iota, one fraction of the hate and hostility, that energy of just raw hatred towards the people in power, the oligarchs, the people who are the man that's keeping us all down, as they do us, who are trying to actually improve the world, something might get done, maybe. But they're just festering cesspools of hate. They can talk all day long about Trump, who's a piece of shit. I hate Trump, but that's it. I hate Trump. There's no need for me to yell or scream or write all exclamation marks in all caps or make some pithy descriptor of his appearance or his sexuality or there's no need for me to do all that. I know where I stand. I hate him because he's an oligarch too, and he's a conservative too. He's an asshole. So there, I feel fine. Why do I feel fine? I'm surrounded by people online and in person who his name is mentioned and they start drooling and frothing and screaming and going ballistic, and they're like, I fucking hate that guy, and they're just losing their minds. They're like, he's got to be impeached. He's got to be impeached. It's like, okay, first of all, he's already been impeached. It was a big waste of time. Second of all, isn't it funny how the new administration is in office, 6 days? And they can rush this fucking thing into Congress to impeach Trump. But they can't rush that fucking $2,000 we were told we were going to get immediately if the Democrats got the House. And they did. And now we're being told it's $1,400, and now we're being told it's going to be a while. It might be April. All this equivocation by this ludicrous new administration. And people love them. They love them because why do they love them? They're not Trump. That's a pretty fucking low bar. It's like saying, yeah, I fucking love Charles Manson because he's not Hitler. Maybe that's a bad example. I don't know. I love Charles Manson because he's not Rasputin. I don't know. I mean, I love Pol Pot because he wasn't Hitler. This is madness. This is madness. I love George W. Bush because he isn't Trump. And people are thinking that. And most of them are Democrats. And it wasn't that long ago. Unless these people were born at 2008 or later, in which case they'd be not even 13 yet and not old enough to vote. Not extremely educated, no matter how intellectual they may be by genetics. When I was 13, I was not a political savant. I've met very few 13-year-olds who were. A couple, but not many. And I didn't meet them on Facebook, that's for sure. I mean, can 13-year-olds even do Facebook with adults? I don't know. It's kind of creepy. But yeah, so the Bushes aren't Trump, so they're great. That's a false equivalence. And I don't even like to use these debate school terms like false equivalence and, ad hominems and all this kind of stuff. I didn't take debate class. I'm not interested in winning an argument with anyone because, you really can't. People's minds are calcifying at a frightening rate. Their views are ossifying. They're just turning into these rigid, hidebound kind of inflexible, intractable, like rocks. They're like stone beings. I mean, they're going to become petrified soon enough. And then maybe we'll be fucking rid of them. Because they're what's standing between us, assuming us means me and like-minded people, and saving this fucking planet, from climate disasters and warfare and total stifling of free thought. So anyway, this Kim chick, she had binders unbound, and there was Peter Gehring. So he went ballistic on us, and he's like, I voted for Hillary, and blah blah blah, and I had no choice. And I said, well, why didn't you have a choice? You can't ask a simple, honest question of these people. Like, okay, why didn't you have a choice? Was there a gun at your temple in the voting booth? These are real questions I'm asking, and I demand real answers from people who assault me verbally or physically over this kind of shit. And they can never give one. They just get more and more angry and rage and red in the face and nasty and sadistic. But they never have an answer that makes any kind of sense. There's like, I can't. It's like, okay, so why can't you? I can't, damn it. So occasionally, if they're slightly more enlightened, they'll say things like, they didn't give us a choice this time. It's like you have to have someone hand you a choice. I mean, you just walk through life like a puppet and just, I need others' approval. I need permission to do the right thing. I need to be told by the right people to do the right thing. You know, and there's always a reason why people like me aren't the right people. And I'm not telling them what to do. I'm just making suggestions and asking questions and defending my own point of view. Their reasons are all over the map, you know. But a lot of it has to do with tribalism, blind partisanship, allegiance to political parties and to social castes. These are all things that lead to fascism. We're fucking there, man. We're in fascism up to our ass, and it's not all Trump. It's not all Proud Boys and these bullshit people who went to the Capitol. It was around when I was a kid. I mean, I remember pretty clearly. And people who live longer than me or almost as long as me, they've forgotten. And again, I could ask them, why did you forget? Do you remember this happening? What are you talking about? Bush was a great president. Reagan was awesome. They weren't Trump. Oh my God. What do you mean you don't like Obama? Obama did all these great things. And I'll be like, well, no, he promised a lot of great things. He didn't deliver on maybe one or two of them, but nothing huge. I mean, he did some important things that were good, mostly right when he got into office. But I mean, the big executive orders he signed on day one, none of them ended up happening. How does that work? And then people accuse Bush and Trump of being tyrants for abusing executive orders. Well, you know, we could use a leftist in there abusing executive orders. We could have used Bernie Sanders in there, you know, day one, Medicare for all, executive order, and pick up the fucking book like Trump did, like with a goofy face, expression on his face. People have suggested Biden do this stuff. He won't do it. He's sending more troops to Syria. He's aiding in the coup in Venezuela. He's fucking up with fossil fuels and gasoline, adding to more and more climate problems. Trump gave me $1,800. Trump, that's stupid, promise-breaking, lying motherfucker, Donald Trump, gave me $1,800. Then this guy Biden, he I say this guy Biden, I know a lot about Biden, a lot of which people don't want to hear about. Really hardly any of people want to hear about it right now. But I know a lot about Biden, and but I don't know him personally. Thank God. So this guy Biden, you know, he's like, $2,000 if we take the house immediately right out the door. He said that, what, 2 or 3 weeks ago? And, well, God, I mean, the election was longer ago than that. November. Well, Georgia part wasn't settled for a while. At least a few weeks. It didn't happen. Of course, he wasn't president. Now he is, and it still hasn't happened. So immediately, when was immediately supposed to take place? Again, you could ask a neoliberal, what's the deal? What does immediately look like to you? They could be like, you're too literal. You're a fucking fascist. You're a racist, Trumpist. I'm like, that doesn't answer my question. Where's the fucking $2,000, man? Why did this asshole that you spend all your time and mental and physical energy, your psychic energy, your whole being hating and hating and hating and hating, you know, how come he did this? And he's pathetic. He's the second worst president we've ever had. I think George W. Bush is the first, and I will stand by that. Now, if Trump had had another term, you know, he probably would have been that one. But I remember Bush too well, and there were 8 years of fucking hell. And there was a lot of censorship then too. People dared not speak out against Bush. There were protests for the Iraq war and stuff, but they weren't covered in the media. The media. I mean, Dan Rather got fired because he started to reveal that Bush was a drunken, draft-dodging motherfucker. Dan Rather. Okay, now he was part of the establishment media. And they tossed him on his ass. I remember when Michael Moore denounced the Iraq war at the Oscars. Man, then I made the mistake. Well, I'm glad I was informed, but I watched several broadcasts over the next couple of days. Everyone from Jay Leno, big surprise, to, you know, fucking Siskel and Ebert, or whatever, Ebert and Rope, or whoever it was then. Everybody in the media was talking shit about Michael Moore. He was like a traitor and I'm not a patriot. Some of these people had been fairly liberal in the old sense of the word liberal, not what it is now. And I was like, damn, man. Michael Moore wrote a book. I think it was a book he wrote after the Stupid White Men book. And it wasn't Fahrenheit 9/11. There was our book in between there. It was in that era in there. It was around the time, it came out a few months before the 2004 election. He spent a few chapters on 9/11. And he all but said, hey, you know what? The president is a conspirator with the bin Ladens. His whole family has been. You know, are these coincidences? I don't think so. Man, Michael Moore would not dare say that shit now. He wouldn't dare. He's a pussy. He has no guts and no backbone. I used to like the guy. He's a good documentarian. He makes good points, but he never, ever follows through. All these people are terrified. They're terrified of losing their millions. They're terrified of being socially ostracized. What about the ones of us who have been socially ostracized our whole fucking life and have never had millions? Why do we keep at it? As the person with the most to lose, the ones who refuse to do anything to lose it? Seems like it. I call it selling out, and never been a fan of it. Like, I remember rock bands, they get huge. They've been doing solid work to great work, and then they get huge and they start doing like shitty, play it safe music. And I'm like, the Beatles didn't do that. When the Beatles got rich, they'd start doing whatever the fuck they wanted. They stopped playing live. Even Led Zeppelin, when they got rich off the ripping off all these blues bands and artists, they started doing different things. They started kind of, Jimmy Page actually started writing his own material. And the best material, though, was generally written by John Paul Jones. And Robert Plant had some good lyrics. It wasn't all, baby, baby, baby. I hate that shit. I'm not a Led Zeppelin fan, but they did a lot of great songs. I don't think they were an album band. I really don't. That's my belief. I would never put them in the same stratosphere as Black Sabbath or Deep Purple. I don't even think they're comparable. I wouldn't put Led Zeppelin in the same stratosphere as Cream. To me, Cream was the beginning of that. You know, Cream and the Yardbirds, Jeff Beck. Jeff Beck is like a god, man. But I don't feel that way about Led Zeppelin. But I have a big soft spot for John Paul Jones. Now some other kind of cool sounding band came on. I have no idea who it is. I don't know. It might be Back to Thirsty Moon. I don't know. But my point being is that these people would get rich and then they'd experiment. Prince was the same way. He did whatever the fuck he wanted. David Bowie, you know. David Bowie didn't like... I mean, not many people know this, but David Bowie was not a big artist in America. He didn't have a huge, like a platinum album in America until Let's Dance. That's the early 80s. So we're talking a ton of great albums from Space Oddity all the way to Scary Monsters and Super Creeps, whatever. All of them great. Only a couple of them charted or had a couple singles that charted. Like Young Americans had a couple singles that charted, like Fame and you know, Ziggy Stardust was a big cult thing, but it wasn't a big album in America money wise. But he was big in Britain and other parts of the world. I mean, really big. But America, he was kind of like this weirdo. You know, a lot of people knew who he was, but didn't care. And same with Alice Cooper. And Alice Cooper did get pretty rich off the albums he did in America. Hell, Black Sabbath made more money off their albums in America than David Bowie did during the early years. Early years. It's not like The Man Who Sold the World was a gold album, but Paranoid by Black Sabbath was. So I'm going round and round and round. I'm going to wrap up. So what is truth? We like being lied to. Americans love being lied to. We love the lie. We dread the truth. We need to start loving the truth and practicing it. We need to start. I'm not a free speech absolute. I'm a free speech absolutist, but I'm not a First Amendment absolutist. That's the last point I wanted to make. People will be like, well, we never had total free speech, and they're happy about that. They love to say, you didn't read the Constitution. It means the government can't censor you, but anyone else can. It's like, fuck that. No one is going to censor me. They're going to have to fucking beat me down and put me in a prison cell. That's all. I'm not saying I am, because I'm not. But any great revolutionary leader of any stripe, of any kind throughout history, has had that attitude. They just keep talking. You know, free speech is like a muscle. If you don't exercise it, it will atrophy and fall off way. You will lose it. So use it, man. That's my advice for what it's worth. For anyone listening, you're free to ignore it. You can curse at the monitor or whatever. Write me a nasty note down below in the comments, and I'll say something nasty back and then delete it. But honestly, if I had advice to impart, it would be like, use your free speech. Say whatever the fuck you want any time of the day and night. I don't care what it is. Because if you can't say something for fear of inciting violence, what does that say about the people you're talking to, your fellow humans, your fellow American citizens? Are they just idiots with no will? They're so easily led that you just walk up to a guy and go, yeah, man, I'm mad at the government, man. We should do something about it. Oh, my God. Then that person's going to go, yeah, and start put things up and shooting people in the street. Like I said, man, no proven causal connection between violent and extreme art and action. Same with rhetoric. I mean, there's certainly rhetoric that's ugly and racist and nasty and vile. But I don't think you should censor those people. Let them talk. Let them hang themselves in the court of public opinion. And we can enjoy their demise. You know, the answer to Nazism is not to censor it, it's to destroy it. Destroying and censoring it are not the same thing, and people are really mixed up. You know, if you want to punch a Nazi, that's fine. Punch them because of what they said, what they did, and it pisses you off. But let them say it. Now, doing it's different. Their laws are more concrete than that about speech. If they went and threw a Jewish man into a fucking blazing cauldron, then I guess kill them. I mean fuck. I mean, arresting them ain't gonna change them. And I mean, you can arrest them. Obviously, that's probably what most people would say do. But a lot of people out here kill the Nazis, kill. So that's fine, kill the Nazis. But, one quote that I heard the other day, it was in the Avengers movie Age of Ultron. And Captain America said to Tony Stark, I love Captain America. Captain America said, every time someone has tried to fight a war before it's begun, uh, they've always lost. And that's true. Cap is cool as shit. And in Civil War, I was totally on Cap's side. Cap was like, everyone has an agenda. And they're like, Cap, not everybody's corrupt like Shield and Hydra. And Captain America's like, no, everybody has an agenda. And you have to be aware of them. You have to be able to fight them. He's a free speech absolutist. And it's not just because of a piece of paper called the Constitution. It's because it's a spiritual, it's of the human spirit to be anti-authoritarian. Because authoritarianism has murdered billions of people. Don't add to the problem. Don't be an authoritarian. There are some big problems we have. Big problems. People in this country are suffering and hurting and dying. And I don't just mean because of COVID, but they really are. COVID, anything could happen with that. But we listen to people like Bill Gates and go, well, he's rich. He knows what he's talking about. It's like he has no accreditation, if that's the right word, in the medical arena. Not one bit of experience, no qualifications whatsoever. He's like Donald Trump was as a politician. That's what Bill Gates is as a scientist and a doctor. But he's rich. He's got to be right. He's liberal, ostensibly. You listen to him talk about this shit, he ain't liberal. He's an authoritarian. And I'm not saying don't get vaccinated. I'm not saying he's going to monitor you and put a chip in you. I'm not saying any of that. But if you listen to the things he says, just listen to them. Put aside your gaga hero worship of him for being a Democrat or being a billionaire or whatever reason, an egghead with computers. Just listen to what he's saying. It's some hostile, soul-destroying shit. He's a very negative force in our culture. He always has been, but now he's stepping it up. He sees an opportunity and he's like, I'm going to ride this COVID thing, man. Power, influencing people's thoughts. But nobody says censor him. Nobody's let him talk. Well, if you're going to let him talk, let fucking Donald Trump talk. Let the morons who went to the Capitol talk. What are you afraid of? Are you going to be swayed by them? I'm not. I'm just going to say, fuck you, Trump. Fuck you, Bill Gates. Fuck you, all authoritarians. I don't care if they're Nazis or they're fucking Democrats. I don't care what they call themselves. It does not matter. If they're exhibiting this fascist behavior, they need to be opposed. They need to be exposed, first of all. The only way they can be exposed is to let them talk. Now, if they lay hands on you, you can knock their block off. But I'm just talking about speech, free exchange of ideas. And not all ideas are equal, but that doesn't mean you stomp it out. But these people nowadays are like, I don't agree with you, therefore I'm going to censor you. I'm going to take away your platform. What? That's not how it was when I was coming up. That's not what liberalism was taught to me. But it's become so co-opted. It's like punk rock. It's like a million things in the world that doesn't mean the same thing anymore. Liberalism doesn't mean the same thing. So you gotta Christianity. There's a zillion things. So you know what you do? It's just like Nazism. If you feel like Trump's a bad man because he doesn't condemn Nazis, and you call him a Nazi, then okay, cool. Well, the same thing about Christianity. If a Christian is not behaving in favor of brotherhood among humanity, then don't call them a Christian. Don't call yourself a Christian if you don't want to be associated with that, because Christianity has been absorbed and subsumed by bullshit and corruption for centuries. The Democratic Party is overwhelmed with corruption now. Why stay a Democrat? Why not be a person? You can be an American even, because that's where you live, that's where you're born. You're a citizen, you're legally an American. That's valid. I personally feel like I'm a citizen of the world. I don't care about being an American. But if I did care about being American, and at one time I really did, I cared about it because of those ideals. Captain America, people like Bernie Sanders, who used to be like that. He's changing a lot in the last year or so, and not for the better. And it saddened me, saddened me. Um, it's what it is, you know. The movement's more important than one man, you know. Uh, it's true of anything. So I've ranted, I've raved. The screen's getting dark. I'm gonna get spice it up with a little thing here, light. Probably not, but maybe. Let me see. No, you know, maybe. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe it's kind of a lost cause. Everything's so dark on my screen anyway. I kind of keep it dark. Um, but anyway, I appreciate you guys listening and maybe considering something I'm saying. Um, but thank you. There's going to be more videos like this. I'm going to try to rein it in somewhat, and I hope I didn't go completely off the rails. But I feel confident that what I'm saying is articulate and makes sense. I can defend my position. It's the people that I ask these questions who assault me for having these beliefs. They assault me, they come at me, and I ask them why and what, and they can't answer, they can't defend their position. Because in their mind, they're like gods. They don't need defending. They're like, I'm a Democrat, I'm an American, I'm a liberal, or, you know, I'm a Republican, I'm a conservative, I'm an American. They're just words that make these people feel more powerful than other people, morally superior, and yet their actions and deeds show totally the opposite of that. They show people who are essentially they're fascists, and just like a Nazi, man, they need to be overpowered. You got to overpower them by your mind. You know, we need to stop the war shit. So anyway, I'm going to take off. Thank you for listening, and if my subscriber numbers plummet immediately after this video goes up, I'll know that I've had the same effect on YouTube that I have on Facebook. But like I said, the truth needs to be told. You don't have to like it, you know, but I have a right to say it as I perceive it, and so do you. Take care.